I reckon the good old days had one foot on the ground at all times, an aqueduct to carry sunshine to the needy, unleash upon mothers with newborn babes, and promising beloveds who'd grow old and bask in the sun at all hours, pleading, take me back.
Hello and welcome to Author Hour. I'm your host, Richard Lyntton, author of North Korea Deception, Hyde Park Deception and Leningrad Deception, and publisher of From Cottage to Palace. Today my guest is Pelin Yuksel. Pelin is an 18-year-old author and high school student from Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. She's published 2 poetry books, Halcyon and Drowning in Dandelions, and has won numerous national poetry awards. She advocates poetry as a way for young people to share their voices, and this is her second visit to Author Hour. Pelin, hello.
Hello, Richard.
Welcome back.
I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming back. How long has it been?
I think maybe 2-3 years.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I remember asking you, said, please come back when you publish your second book,
and
which is called Halcyon.
Yes, Halcyon.
Tell me about the title, because I honestly had to look that word up. Tell us about the title and what it means. So
Halcyon refers to times in the past where you may have had fond memories, or it's really just about memories from the past. And this book to me was a growth of my writing. I really evolved, and I've been starting to find my personal writing style. My first book, Drowning in Dandelions, was a more self-therapeutic type of book, but I've really evolved to look into nature and aspects of humanity and my past that I am very fond of, that bring me joy or curiosity, and I think that is something that I'm hoping to continue writing about.
Love it, love it. So tell me, how did the experience with the first book go, and then how is publishing the second book, Halcyon? First book was Drowning in Dandelions, but tell us how I'm just curious about the experience of publishing a second book. What lessons did you learn from the first time? How was it the second time?
Well, my second time I actually designed my own cover.
Oh,
so that was very exciting.
Beautiful.
But
you didn't give yourself a credit inside, because I looked for that. The cover designer.
I thought I would rather be humble about it.
Okay, well next time you should definitely put that in. Yeah, I was looking, I was like, who did the cover? But anyway.
Yes, I did do my own cover, but I didn't want to, I'm not an illustrator, but.
Right. Well, it's lovely. Yeah. It's lovely.
Thank you.
But can you talk to us a little bit about, did you definitely want to write another book? Do you want to write a third book? Again, the experience with your publisher. Were they happy to publish the second book? Yeah.
I think it was a given when I started writing my first book that I would continue and evolve as a writer, and I think my books represent periods in my life where things are changing or I'm developing, and as I kind of grew out of my health issues and grew mentally, morally, it was a given for me that I would write another book and I would continue to write more poetry. And I think that graduating high school soon and entering college, I'm also entering another period in my life where I will be growing, and career-wise, personal-wise, social-wise, and I think I'm working on some new stuff.
You're so eloquent. I love the way. I love you're just very eloquent. Tell us about where you are in your life. You're a senior.
Yes.
But I was blown away from when we emailed your address label. It was like, oh my goodness, all this stuff. So I do want people to understand who you are, apart from the poetry, and we'll go back to you as a poet, but what are you doing in your life right now since we last met 2 years ago, I think it was. I think you were 15 when you came here last time.
Yes, I was.
And by the way, I do encourage you, either on my YouTube video channel, Richard Lyntton, or on Mainline Network, go back and look at the first video with Pelin, and maybe we'll even put it up this month when we air. But it's fun to, I think, see, especially younger people, the progression to years on. But tell me what you're up to now.
Yeah, so I am hoping to go into medical school. Medicine is a big passion for me, and through my health problems, that's what sparked my curiosity. And I think that because I knew that I had such a great passion, I wanted to start getting into the field and doing what I can to learn early on. So I've been doing medical research. I'm hoping to become an otolaryngologist when I'm older. So
And tell people what that means again? Just
otolaryngologist is ear, nose, and throat.
And nose and throat.
So
I think we say ENT. Do you guys say ENT?
ENT, yes, but otolaryngologist or otorhinolaryngologist is the full term.
Otolaryngologist.
Yes.
Not geologist. Anyway, yeah. But tell me about, you just said about, because let's remind people, the poetry did start off because you had concussion. You had two concussions, didn't you, in a row? Just tell us a little bit about that.
I had a big brain injury that I think cost me maybe 9-10 months of really intensive therapy, and through that I also developed voice problems, neurological voice problems that initially sparked my interest into ENT and voice disorders. And I also had some problems with chronic pain. But looking back at it, I am very, very, very glad and thankful that God gave me these struggles, because I found a passion that I think will last my entire life.
Fantastic. And why was it do you think that you started writing poetry rather than writing songs, say, or writing a book, fiction? Why do you think it was specifically poetry that that led you to?
Well, I think poetry was a way where it was a bridge between physical painting, art, and writing, and I had a talent with words and a gift with words that had been nurtured over the years, thankfully, to my parents and my teachers. And it was also an art form that I could make more personal, and I did not have to, I could have written a memoir or fiction about some other situations or people or characters, but this was a way that I could really express myself and my feelings, and now it's a way that I can express my views on the world and the beautiful creations it holds. So.
Love it. And so tell us about your relationship with the publishers on book 2. Like, did they have any ideas about how it should be different from book 1, or did they have any editing that they wanted to do? I'm just curious about that sort of relationship when you did publish the second book. I'm grateful that I was given a lot of autonomy with this, and this is pretty much a lot of it is my doing in terms of ideas and writing, but I do have a few illustrations in this book that I did. For example, this relates to one of the poems, but we'll get a shot of that afterwards. Yeah.
Yes, readers will be able to.
So those are your illustrations too?
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Oh my goodness. So and what about the reaction from say school from I'm always curious, like how did they react? Did they encourage you? How was that?
I think it was known that I do write poetry and that I am an author, so it wasn't a big surprise like my first book, but I have been continuously receiving support and encouragement from my teachers and peers.
Okay, so you're a young person, you're at school, like, just talk us through the process. If anyone out there wants to either write a book or write poetry, how do they do it? I mean, like, where do you do it? When do you do it? Try and give us a sense of the step-by-step process.
Yeah, so taking a look around you and taking a look at yourself. What do you believe in? What do you see? What pain or anger or joy do you feel? The first thing is putting that into words, and emotion is the biggest, in my opinion, contributor to poetry. After that, in terms of publishing, young people can publish independently, or traditionally, I would say local publishing companies are always willing to help
local people.
Yes, local people, their community, you know. So that would be my best bet.
What was their reaction when, I mean, did you know that your publisher, what is it, remind me of your publisher?
Simple Words.
Simple Words. So did they publish other poetry? Like, how did you find them?
I found Simple Words through local connections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And they do poetry, they do other poetry?
I think I was the first poet that they published.
Right.
But I'm not too sure.
Okay, no, it's okay. I'm just curious. So in other words, don't be afraid if you know, if you are a poet.
Yes, absolutely. Because as an author, you have autonomy, and you should be respected for what you want and what you write. And I think local, smaller publishing companies are open to helping you grow as a writer and write what you want instead of write what they want.
Right. So you're I mean, for me, you're a sort of very artistic person, but again, tell me about your goals in terms of the next 2 or 3 years. Have you got a college place already? Like, what are you going to do?
I am hoping to major in neuroscience and linguistics as a pre-med, and while writing poetry along the way, of course, as a more personal interest and passion. But after that, I will hopefully be able to apply to medical school. I do not know yet where I will be going for college, but I did get accepted to Johns Hopkins, so
that's
maybe there. Yeah, I'm still. This 2-week period is where I will be hearing back. So. And
you're interning at the same time as well. You're interning.
Yes, in 2 different research places. And
how? Yeah. Like again, for a young person, what is that like going from high school into sort of the real world? It's like your first experience of interning. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what have you learned?
Well,
what kind of people have you met?
I have met amazing people in medicine who are so curious and so caring to their patients, and I've also been able to present my research at a conference. Last year I've gone into the world of academic writing and publishing in terms of research. So yeah, I've met amazing people. And
so that's definitely something you're going to, so when you say pre-med, do you know then, if you're doing neuroscience, what do you know yet what that kind of might lead to, through medical school, what you might specialize in? Well,
I hope I will be an otolaryngologist. That is I'm hoping to specialize in, but I've always been interested in the brain and...
But those are 2 different things, right? The brain and ANT.
Well, the brain and the head and neck are all connected, so it's very interdisciplinary.
Right.
I'm interested in maybe skull-based surgery, other neurological head and neck conditions.
So you would want to be a surgeon?
Yes, I'm hoping. Yeah.
Wow.
Surgery is very fascinating.
Have you been in any surgeries, or have you been able to watch as your internship yet, or not really?
So as someone who has been under 18 for every moment of their life except the past 2 weeks.
Okay. So how old are you now?
It has been...
You just turned 18?
Yes, I did. So getting accepted into operating rooms is pretty difficult.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I have been with patients and in office settings.
Wow. Fascinating. I love it. I think we should, if it's okay with you, I think we should read another. This poem blew me away, and this was one of your awards you got, wasn't it?
Yes. So
just give us the background, and then please read when you're ready.
So this poem, Understand, is a 3-part poem, and I will only be reading the first section of it. But this poem won a National Silver Medal for the 2023 Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, and it can also be found on the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards gallery.
Okay.
So this first part is called Inquiries, and this is about the Uvalde school mass shooting in Texas. Inquiries. To all the teachers whose classrooms were battlefields, you are left with empty chairs in the back of the class and first-hand memories. How will you lesson plan multiplication tables when surrounding you is a children's choir singing funeral songs for their peers? To all the former sisters and brothers, what was it like picking their favorite toys out of the chest, seeing their broken bike in the garage, having but a ghost to whisper to at midnight when you are afraid of the dark? To all the parents who outlived their children, we cannot undo your losses through vengeance. Words mean nothing to you, I'm sure, for no eloquent surgeon can stitch together hearts with gaps wide as canyons. Did you imagine those milestones lost? A shadow of birthday candles and recitals and flowers at graduation? To all the children who never grew up, the earth should have turned over when hellfire rained upon you, vaporized your strawberry jam-coated smiles, when your screams shattered by silver bullets and psychopaths, and the story of your lives turned fiction. A war should have commenced as your parents' tear-smudged fingers laid you to rest in coffins half their size. Did you imagine yourselves growing old, turning yourselves over to aspirations, when angels arrived at the echoes of guns?
Wow, that's amazing. It's really, really powerful and amazing. And why, that's not in the second book though, right?
No, this was submitted for an award independent of my book.
So have you performed, because I mean, I don't know, performed, but not the right, have you read that to an audience before today?
Yes, I have.
Where do you get, because I feel like people need to hear it and enjoy it, and so I'm just curious whether you've done any like videos or at school or in front of your class, like where have you read that to people?
Yeah, so in my school I have started a poetry club, and through that I have been organizing poetry readings, poetry performances, and poetry slams with my co-officers, my wonderful sophomores that I've been working with. And yeah, through that I've been able to read, but I'm currently working on creating my website where my award-winning poems will be featured and read by me. So.
And I think have you thought about doing an audiobook of your poems?
I have not, but that is a splendid idea. That's wonderful.
I mean, I just when I was looking back at our first interview, it just struck me your voice is very listenable too, and I think you should definitely do that. And it's not too difficult, especially as they're not too long. You know, it won't take you that long to record. But I really think you should do that on Audible. You can literally record your own and sort of upload it to Audible, and I definitely think you should do that. And I assume that you're going to do that on your website. I mean, you could even read it to camera, or you could or just record it. Tell me about how you've used social media. We talked a little bit about it before. I'm wondering if you still use TikTok. We talked about, and I'm also curious as to what you think. Should TikTok be banned or not? You know, what are your thoughts on that? How you use social media, and specifically about TikTok, as it's in the news at the moment?
I think TikTok continues to be a platform for writers to share their poetry within a community that is accepting and non-judgmental, but I would rather not talk about the TikTok ban. I think that's a very
No
controversial.
problem. Yeah, well, I mean, I understand why they want to ban it, and I feel they should just sort of revamp it whatever they need to do, because obviously a lot of people use it, for business and for fun. And I mean, my college boys, I think, are on TikTok. Everyone's on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. No problem. So, what about some advice for young people if they're feeling a little bit either shy or they feel like I can't do this? What would your advice be to young people to start writing? And tell us a little bit about your process. Where do you write? When do you write? How often do you write?
Yeah, so as per your first question, writing is an excellent bridge between not speaking and speaking. So it is a wonderful first step for people that, as you said, may be a bit shy, may be not as willing to speak and share their poetry out loud. They can write it, you know, in a journal.
Right.
Just start with a journal.
Okay, great idea.
Yeah, and for your second question, I have found that because I have been writing more poetry about nature, wherever I go and see a beautiful scene of nature, or just a nice day in the park,
sure,
or a family vacation, if I'm sitting on the beach, it's a great time for me to pick up a pen or the notes app on my phone. And
so you always have a notebook with you, or you said notes app?
Or on my phone, yes.
So that's, you don't mind like creating, as it were, on your phone, just typing?
No, I found it to be even quicker.
Right. Oh my God. So how many poems, I just want to get some number, how many poems do you think you've written, over your lifetime so far?
Maybe 400.
Wow.
300, 400.
And how many of those are now in 2 books?
250, I would say.
Okay. And so what is your plan, what is your next plan for is there a book 3 already in the
Yes,
pipeline?
I'm currently working on a 3rd book, but now that I have found my writing style, I think it will be a good project for me to work on.
So do you know when that's coming out?
No, I think that as I continue to grow and advance into college and experience life more, it'll just come.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get the word out? How do you, because it's one thing to be an artist and creative, but if no one's going to read your work and see your work, can you tell me some of the things that you either would like to do or have tried, again, for young authors or people who want to get their work out there? Obviously we've talked about TikTok, but can you share some other way?
Yes.
I remember you said last time, you said you talk to people about it, and I think that's an interesting idea, just being confident enough to say, hey, I don't think you should bombard people, but just if it comes up, oh, by the way, you might be interested, like you said before, I remember you saying, you might enjoy my book, and I think that's great. I think that's one of the ways to do it. But how do you get the word out about your work?
I think that
you're working on a website, obviously, you said.
Yes, I am, but I also think that promoting a book, especially as a up-and-coming author and a young author at that, is more difficult than writing the book itself.
Okay.
I have definitely experienced this over the past few years, because talking to people is not always enough. Mm-hmm. And social media is not always enough. So I am going to reverse that question and ask you, how do you think one should promote their book? What is a good way?
Yeah, it's a never-ending question, as you know, and I think for me, I've tried many different things. There's Amazon ads, there are Facebook ads, there are things called, one thing you might try is something called book promotions, where you go on a site called Book Funnel, and authors will organize say a thriller promo or a poetry promo. I don't know how much poetry there is on there, but that's another thing you can do. I think that you have to have have you got a newsletter yet?
I have not, but
okay, so when you get your website, definitely you got to start collecting emails from people who are interested in you, and I've got a few thousand people on my email list, but I recently asked a friend of a friend who's a New York agent. I said, how many am I supposed to have on my email list if I wanted a big random house publisher or something? And she said, oh, well, if you had 10 or 20,000 people on your list, they might look at you, and that's the problem.
Yes, exactly.
They want you to have this following. So that's definitely what everyone says is
having a newsletter.
You've got to have your newsletter, and you've got to have start building those you obviously start with friends and family who are going to sign up.
Yeah.
But then and also for you, I'm curious, like I feel like you haven't done too much of like Instagram and Facebook, and I'm wondering if that's true still and why that is, because I feel like you as a young person might do that, but I also feel like you haven't done that.
Yeah, so it's more of a personal reason that I prefer to keep my social media more private.
Okay.
And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot.
You could have a public page.
I might. I think I want to start with my website first, but
I think there's far too much stuff out there that's just not, so-called creative content that's just not thought about. It's just, rubbish basically. So I understand that. I agree with you, and so I'm interested in your answer just then, because I basically agree with you. I like to keep private stuff private, but if you're an artist, you've got to also put yourself out there, and you've got to sort of sell yourself.
I think that because I've been so young and a minor, that it's something. It's a different conversation when you're a minor, but
right.
Now that I'm 18, it's something that I can think about. Yeah.
Are your parents in the medical field?
No, my parents are engineers.
Okay, I was just curious as to, again, I know you said you got into the medical side of things because of your own condition that you had. And tell me, another question I had was, so the group you have you have a poets group. Is it high school? Do you have it?
Yes, Is it
for teens, or was it for adults too?
It's within school. It's a club within the school. Yeah.
So, have you had any interesting thoughts or experiences, organizing that as a leader, as it were?
Absolutely. I have found people from all sides of the school that I didn't even know were interested in writing.
Any guys?
Yes. Actually. There have been an equal mix of males and females, of girls and guys, that have been interested in writing and performing their poetry as well, which is, I'm very glad that an environment like that has been growing at my school.
Yeah. How do you get people involved? Like, how do you, presumably it's not just friends that have come, but how would do you stand up in front of the school? How does that work? Do you have a website at the school and you say, come and be part of the poetry thing? How does that work?
So now school organizations are able to promote through social media accounts, as well as online school newsletters and school websites.
Right. Yeah, and just another quick thought for you. Like, once you get your website, I keep thinking, apparently video is the thing. So I think, just as these young singers will sing, I think you should definitely put yourself out there and start reading not just the audio, but I feel like you should read on camera your poems. I think that would be great. Make it, make a little sort of series, as it were, kind of like like I do Author Hour, video 1 through 26 or whatever. I think that would be great for you too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We did read. I just want to make sure we haven't forgotten anything. So you can just Google. What I would do is, first of all, say thank you to Pelin for joining us. You can Google the book to find out where to buy it. Halcyon and Drowning in Dandelions, to find your most convenient seller. Same goes for my thriller series, North Korea Deception, Hyde Park Deception, and Leningrad Deception. And don't forget also my non-fiction published series, From Cottage to Palace, which is about my great aunt Flo, who lived and travelled with the royal family for 30 years, and it's called the Worcestershire and Malvern History series. If you like all things English, cultural, and find a little bit more about England, it's a memoir series. So thank you for being here, and see you next time.